Hey, hello. Welcome to episode number 43 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choi. What's up? So this week something that I love is my Keurig machine. My current one is a hand-me-down, but it still works. And it makes one cup of coffee at a time like it's supposed to. I should try to meet Mr. Keurig someday, or Miss Keurig, if this person is still alive. Anyway, for more about this podcast, check out peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's peoplewelovepodcast.com. And the Instagram handle is peoplewelovepodcast. And you can find me on Instagram as well. Adam Choit is my handle, just my name, if you want to follow me as well. And please remember to tap subscribe or follow on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. And of course, 5-star positive reviews on iTunes are greatly appreciated as well. So, today's guest is actor Kevin Symons. You might know him as the dad from the TV show Darcy's Wild Life, or as the sleazy city councilman Bill Dexhart on Parks and Recreation. But he's my new West Coast dad. For real, Kevin has been in soap operas, over 200 commercials, and has been a working actor for over 25 years now. But he recalls late nights as a kid, secretly watching Johnny Carson on TV. And now he's currently writing a one-man show all about Johnny Carson. It was so much fun to talk to this guy. Let's just get into it. Here's Kevin Symons. So it's good to see you today, Kevin Symons.
Adam, my God, it's so nice to actually see you.
Yes.
I've heard you on your podcast, which I love. It's fantastic. In fact, I really love the opening bit you do about things you love.
Yeah, someone suggested that I do that.
I love it. It's fantastic. In fact, I heard you do a dissertation on shredders once, and it enlightened me.
You know what I do? I'm always it's always either food that I talk about, because I don't want it. It's not supposed to be about a person,
right?
That's something else.
Yes,
but it's always about food or about just an item that I can see in my apartment.
I had to reassess my viewing of shredders, because you said you have like one that does two different directions.
Cross cut. You can see it inside.
So I'm slacking because I have a single. Mine just it's one thing, and I'm very upset.
You ever watch Better Call Saul? I'm behind on that.
I do love Better Call Saul.
Remember there was an episode where he was going through the shredder, and because it wasn't a cross cut,
that is exactly
he was able
right.
to
In
tape
this day
the long
and age,
strips.
you need to have it as shredded as humanly possible.
I have to hide all of my.
That is correct.
All of my crimes,
fraudulent,
hidden.
all of your fraudulent. You know, if the IRS found out what was going on with you, that would be a big problem.
No, they're not fans of me. But thank you for having me in your studio.
Absolutely. You know, I was actually at your studio.
Yeah, this is night 2 of 2. We had some technical difficulties last night.
We did, but I have to tell you something. I'm kind of bummed that we're here, because your studio is stunning. I mean, it's massive.
Yeah.
For listeners at home, seriously, his studio is human. It's not a studio; it's a compound.
Yeah, and I drive. Just so everyone knows, I get in my car and leave where I live to get to the studio.
And you know what I have to tell you? I want to thank you first of all, because we didn't get the show done last night, but there was a chef there with a full. I mean, the lobster and buffet was.
You are my new best friend.
Was amazing, and the caviar bar, incredible.
Yeah.
Open the whole thing. It was really. You've got a whole thing going on. You guys at home might not know this, but this guy's. I mean, he's dropped a lot of coin on this place.
I don't need to be here. I don't think.
I don't think you do. I was kind of like very disappointed when you came over here. Not that I wasn't.
You should just talk positively about me and let me know when you're done, and I'll come back and I'll hit stop on the recorder. And we'll. No,
your place is an amazing thing.
No, I appreciate all the kind words, and why don't we get into it? Why don't you tell me about your life, and we could start from the hospital where you were born. I'm assuming you were born at the hospital. If not, I tell everyone, I don't judge.
I was actually born in a canvas yurt in Alaska.
Is that true? I don't even know what that means.
That is absolutely not true.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
It's a complete lie. It's a canvas, people
Igloo?
like, it's considered like nice, heavy, like camping that's like, chic camping now. They stay in yurts. No, I was actually born in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. And that's where I grew up. My folks were Canadian, and my dad moved down here to the States for better
weather.
No. Well, yes, but no. They because there was not a lot of business up there, and he was in the food business, so he got hired by Libby. Remember Libby?
Oh yeah.
On the label.
Don't they make frozen vegetables?
Frozen vegetables and canned goods.
Yeah.
So he got hired by them. So they moved down here and moved to Arizona, and I was born. And actually, I have a question for you.
For me?
Yes, because my wife, Darby, whom you know.
Of course, yeah.
She believes that wherever you were born, that's the kind of weather that you love.
Yeah.
In other words, I was born in Arizona.
Even if you moved the next day?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Darby.
Well, let me ask you. No, let me ask you. Because I was born in Arizona, and I love the desert. You know, I love going to Palm Springs.
Well, how much time did you spend there? I mean, we'll get into it, but just for the purpose of this question.
About 2 years.
Okay.
And she was born in South Dakota, and she loves nature and hiking and all that.
And how much time did she spend there?
Many years.
Okay, and
then she moved to Colorado, so same thing. But you were born in New
York on Long Island.
Yeah.
So I tend to like 4 seasons.
I don't like seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, I like them, but it's like, I've had enough of this now. I'm ready to get back to 74 degrees.
Yeah, I think I like them for different. I like and dislike the but I guess I appreciate the seasons.
Well, anyway, that's just a theory my wife has. Anyway, so yes, I was born in Arizona, and then we moved around a lot because my dad kept getting moved from location to location of these new plants that were being opened up, and very successful in the food business. And then we ended up. I'm a California boy. We ended up Well, my brother was born, I have a younger brother. He was born in Portland, Oregon. Again, he was born in Portland.
He loves it.
He loves rain.
Yeah.
He loves cloudy weather.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this thing works.
Yeah.
It works.
We got to get some, we have some specific details to work out.
I want MIT to get on this now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we moved around a lot, and then we ended up in the Bay Area.
And how old were you when you ended up in the Bay Area?
Bay Area, I was probably around, 10.
Okay, so
8, 9, 10.
So between 2 and 10, it sounds like you moved around a lot.
We did. We lived in Gary, Indiana. We lived in the Bay Area once in Santa Cruz, and then we moved away from there.
Yeah.
And then we moved back to there. And so it was a lot of moving.
Yeah, tell me about that and what was that like? And
I was so young. I was so young. You know, the one thing I do remember is when we were in Gary, I was so young, and I'd wait for my dad to come home on the train, and it would just snow everywhere. And the thing I remember is the snow everywhere, because that's such an alien thing to me. But I remember that, and it was okay until I started going into school.
Yeah.
Once you get into school and you move around, you know, because we were in Oregon for a while, and then I had to leave my best buddy in Oregon.
Friends.
We had to move down to the thing. But my parents would always entice us with like Disneyland and stuff, going, "Hey, we're moving to California. You know, that's right near Disneyland." Well, it's not right near Disneyland. We were in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And then we lived in the Bay Area for a few years, and then my dad took a job where I spent most of my growing up years, like junior high school, which was in a small town called Visalia, California, up near Fresno. It's in California.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I know.
Yeah. So it's the gateway to the Sequoias.
Yeah.
So we lived there, and that's where I went to junior high and high school. And that is where I was a very introverted child. I mean, painfully shy.
Was there a reason you think that was, or just the way the way some people are? Like,
yeah, no, it was just the way I was. I was a very heavy set kid, and children can be so kind.
Yeah, no, as a listener of the show, you know that most people who've sat opposite me, did experience bullying. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have ended up.
Well, there wasn't a term for it back then. It wasn't bullying.
Getting your ass kicked.
Well, it was like, I would do everything to avoid it. So I would the horrible thing is like one time there was the portables, there were the portable rooms, and I'd hang behind it so I didn't get beaten up.
Sure.
And then of course, one of the teachers came by and saw me. He's like, "Well, you're not supposed to be here." And then I got in trouble because I was just trying to you
can't win.
It was a lose-lose. But I was in junior high, painfully shy. And then I got into high school, painfully shy. And then I'm a singer. So I got into choir, and my choir teacher, wonderful man. It was Visalia, so it was not a hotbed for artistic endeavors.
Yeah.
But the high school did a musical every year, so he said, "I want you to audition Actually, the year before they had a musical and somebody dropped out and he called me. He asked me if I would do it, and it involved a lot of dancing and it was a chorus role. And he said, "I want you to do this." And I went home and I said, "I can't. I don't want to do this
because of the dancing."
Dancing, being up in front of people.
This was a what?
I would say I was probably I was a freshman in high school. And so I had my parents call him and say, it's against our religion for him to dance.
Wow. Wow. And what religion was this?
Well, it was a very religious, I mean, we were my grandma was Pentecostal, very wave your hands.
Hellfire and brimstone.
And speaking in tongues. I'd go to that church and be like,
wow,
what is going on?
So is that where you went to regularly growing up?
She lived in Canada. I told you my parents lived in Canada. We went to First Baptist. It was a lovely, you sit, you sing, you listen to the to the sermon, and then you are done. You go home and you have socialization and all that sort of thing. So anyway, so we were there, and I had them call and say that it was against our religion, which is just wonderful. And then so that went away, and then a year later, my teacher said, "Look, I really think you should. We're doing the pajama game, and I think you should audition for a role." And by that point, I really trusted him, and I said, "Okay, I will." And they cast me in the comedic role, Heinze, which was the funny role, which I like. My pants fall down, the whole bit. And I went from literally, I mean, I'm not kidding you. I knew 3 people and 3 or 4 people total in the high school.
How many people were in the high school?
Oh, it was Visalia, so it wasn't humongous. I mean,
how many
it was
people in your graduating?
A couple of hundred. What's that?
Graduating class was.
100 and change.
Yeah, so there's a few hundred people in the school.
Yeah. But so my sophomore year, so I auditioned for this. I get the comedic role, and I'm getting these huge laughs. And, it's a small town, but I'm getting these huge laughs. And I was like, this is unbelievable. And overnight, everybody knew who I was. I'm getting pretty girls that are giving me a kiss on the thing. Whoa. And and I all of a sudden had all these friends, and I thought and I literally went from being a former fat kid introvert. I had lost all this weight in junior high school. My mother put me on Weight Watchers.
And that worked?
It did. It was in the old days this is great. It was in the old days when you have to go to meetings. You used to have to go to meetings.
Yeah.
And weigh in.
It's hey.
You'd have to go weigh in. I know it was and you'd go weigh, you go weigh in and say, well, I don't know why I didn't lose weight this week. And then you'd be accountable. But the horrible thing is, where I grew up in Visalia, they used to, the Weight Watchers office was right next door to the Winchell's Donuts.
Of course it is.
So you'd get out at 10 o'clock and they'd just made a fresh batch of donuts. And it was
you smell it.
It was horrific. The smell was so good.
Was that your weakness, donuts, or was it just anything bad as you loved?
Anything bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad was in the food business.
Oh,
so
yeah.
He'd go to the grocery store and he would buy so much stuff.
Yeah.
And I would eat it.
It all makes sense now.
So Weight Watchers worked. I lost 45 pounds and grew at the same time in 7th grade.
What was that like when you lost that weight? Did you feel yourself changing? Was it hard to stay disciplined? Was there exercise part of it? What exactly was involved that you recall?
There was no exercise.
That's great.
My parents were not exercisers. They were not campers. They were city folk, that sort of thing. The discipline was tough. But I had good willpower, and you just kind of, when you're seeing that weight come off, it's very
good habits
motivating.
Good habits form.
Even in 7th grade, because a lot of the reason that kids made fun, and I was the last to be picked for the dodgeball team, and I never wanted to be there was shirts and skins. I never wanted to be the skins. I wanted the shirts because I was embarrassed about my body. And so when I grew at the same time that I lost all that weight, and I'm 6'2", so I grew a considerable amount, and it all kind of happened at the same time, and was very exciting. Yeah. But I was still the kid in the fat body. You see, I was still.
But that makes you more likable in some ways.
Yes, but I was so shy I couldn't really relate, and and then when this happened, where I got the show. And that's really what hooked me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd watched when I was growing up. I'd watched way too much.
Yeah,
television.
that was where my next line of questioning is: what were you watching? What were your inspirations, and to even consider acting and performing?
Yeah,
were you very much into TV as a kid?
I used to watch reruns of The Brady Bunch and Gilligan's Island, and there were reruns of the old Mickey Mouse Club. You know, there's like 3 networks at that time. There was no Netflix.
Sure.
So I'd watch these and I'd go, and then they would say we're casting a new Mickey Mouse Club, and I thought I want to, and I was a kid, and I said I want to get in on that. So I told my mom, and she's like, "Oh no, you don't want to do that. You won't enjoy that sort of thing." And that was like when I was like 8 years old.
What was her? Did she give a reason? Mickey Mouse is Satan. No.
My folks were not into show business.
Yeah.
Actually, it's ironic. My dad was in the food business. I told you, and then my mother was a jazz musician. She was Miss Canada.
Wow.
And did all of the shows. She moved to Hollywood with her mother for a few months to do all the shows. And then when she got married, you don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You get married and you have children.
Yeah, back in that time, sure.
Yes,
especially.
and with the church and all that sort of thing. And so I think she was always a little of a frustrated artist.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Was she trying to protect you think, from Hollywood? Because she saw the negativity that could go with it? Was it that? Or was it, did she really not want you to have success because she didn't have success? Is that a subconscious thing? We're getting deep. This is deep. You brought it up, though.
You just nailed it, both.
It's a combination
thanks to wonderful therapy for many years.
Yeah,
listen, don't get me wrong. My mother, wonderful woman. Wonderful woman. But yeah, I think there was a jealousy thing there because she had to give up her career.
Sure.
And, both when I said to my parents, when I went to college, I was a music major. And then when I said I want to change to being an actor, because I was doing a lot of community theater back in Visalia. And then when I got to Cal State, I went to Cal State Fullerton and studied and did some shows there. And I thought, I want to change his major. Music theory was killing me in music. It was it was the mathematics, and I am so bad at math. So I was like, I got to get out of this. And I said, I want to change. And they were like, oh, well, no. I mean, you can't.
Your parents.
You can't make a living doing that. You can't. Well, be a business minor. Because my dad wanted me to go into the food business. I mean, he set me up in one of the brokerage firms and this, that, and the other thing.
What did they imagine? Is that what they imagined for you, going into the family business or going to the food business? What did your mom imagine for you? I guess music? I mean, is music that much more of a guarantee that you're going to have a successful life than acting?
No, it's not. And the thing is that...
Maybe less so.
No, Adam, I'm telling you, the funny thing is that I was looking at what I was doing and I thought, if I'm going to be a music major, I have one of two choices. Okay, I can go into opera. I have a really good voice. I do not have an opera voice. And I know I'd probably have to go to Europe and this something. The other choice was like basically directing high school choirs, being a choral director.
Yeah.
And I was like, that just does not sound good to me. And so I was, very bitten, if you will, by I was ravenous to learn more about being a better actor.
Yeah.
And fortunately at Cal State they had a really good department, fantastic department there. Great music department too, but I left there and my parents were not very happy about it. So I humored them and I was a business minor for like one semester.
You're still at Fullerton, but you changed your majors.
Correct. Yeah. I went there for 4 years. So, they were not happy. And then when I graduated, they said, well, just, get one of these headhunters and see what's out there business wise and all, get into the food business. And I had this interview with, I got one of these headhunters and I interviewed with American Home Foods, big conglomerate that had Bear aspirin and all this stuff, all these food things. And they hired me because I was
right out of college.
Right. I mean, boom, right out of college.
Did they know your name?
I have a theater degree. I'd studied intensely. I was playing, incredible roles.
Yeah, what kind of resume are they gonna like? I
was still non-union, all that. I was just getting out of college, and I had to start my career
somewhere. Yeah,
but I went into these interviews, like a character. In other words, I was playing a character of a businessman. So they would say, well, so, the oldest thing in the book. So what do you think you can improve on yourself? I said, honestly, I think I can improve. I work too hard.
That's become almost like a cliche.
It's become the cliche.
But then that was some new shit.
Back then, back at when the cavemen roamed the earth, they were this was the standard.
Yeah,
and it worked because they hired me, and I kind of disappeared for a couple of days and really thought long and hard about this. And I thought, if I go this route, I was going to be heading up. I was going to be one of the guys in Orange County. Heading up the food business and going to the grocery stores and selling them this, that, and the other thing.
And that would be your life.
Yeah. And I thought, what, if I do this, and my parents are like, well, just do it for a year. And you can fund yourself, you can get some money saved up. And I said, I thought to myself, if I do this for a year, I will never get out. I'll be comfortable with the bonuses. I will be happy with the money. And this will be my life, and I'll have my 2.3 children and or 3.2 children, whatever it is, and live in Orange County.
Why is that? Why did you? It's just it's the money, and you just get so comfortable. You know that you could get comfortable in that world. You don't dislike it enough to the point where you could get yourself to quit. So you don't trust yourself to get out after a year.
Right. Well, I figured I knew myself, and I thought if I've got this degree. I've studied hard. I've worked with some incredible people in studying, Jose Quintero, some amazing teachers. And I thought, if I go into this now, I just knew I would get comfortable with it because it would be a lot of money. And I knew I wouldn't just do it for a year. I'd stay in it. And it was a very, very hard decision. But I said to the headhunter, I'm sorry, no. And he was really pissed because he was going to get 10% of my first year's salary.
Wow.
Which was like, at that point, I don't know, it was like, it was just starting out like 35,000 plus bonuses.
Yeah.
So my parents were not happy. He was not happy. But I went into a business where my parents said I could not make a living. And I've been making a living at it for a very long time.
Yeah. What do they think about that?
Well, they're both passed away.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. But were they around long enough to see your success?
Well, my mother was.
Yeah.
My dad died very young. He died at 60 of melanoma. So get your screenings done out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't get to see much of it. He saw my early work. I did a couple of movies and a lot of stage stuff in my early days. I was still doing what other actors do in the early days. I was bartending and then doing the other stuff. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Before we get into what happened, with your life after college, were you watching Johnny Carson growing up? When did you first?
Yes. Thank you for tying that in because I was just rambling.
No, that's all great stories.
So,
no.
So my parents, when I was growing up, they would watch the Carson show every night. Johnny Carson. They would watch Johnny Carson every single night. And so, but I had to go to bed. I was not allowed to watch it, but I could hear it in the other room. I was a very crafty young man. I had a black and white TV in my room, and I would plug it in and when I was supposed to go to bed, and I would turn it on very quiet because there was 2 levels. And I would take the cord that unplugged the TV and I'd wrap my belt around it. I'm glad my parents aren't listening to this. And I would hold it, and then there was a squeaky step on the steps. And when my parents were coming up, and I knew they were, I'd pull the cord with my belt. The TV would go off, and I'd pretend I was asleep.
That's smart. So you would listen to the sound coming from the other room?
Yes.
But your TV was on mute?
No, I was on very, very low. But my parents would occasionally let me come in on certain nights and watch Johnny when there was one of 2 guests on. One was, and some of you probably don't remember these people, but one of them was Tony Bennett, who is still alive. Tony Bennett, the singer.
Yeah. I was like, am I in the room? I was going to comment that I'm in the room with the photo of him, but that's pictures in the other room. Right, it's in the other room. Like, is it right behind me? It is kind of another wall behind the other wall. Yeah.
And then the other one was somebody I'm sure you don't know, which is Buddy Rich, who is a wonderful jazz drummer.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah. So they would let me stay up to watch that, and I'd stay, I'd kind of trick it to be like, watching a little more. And then the older I got, the more I watched Carson, and He was unlike anyone around, period. I mean, he was, first of all, he was the king of late. I mean, nobody could touch him. Nobody would even get near Johnny Carson.
Who was even the competitors in his
There were so
heyday?
many, and they dropped they died like flies.
Yeah, who was there anyone even notable? Because obviously post Carson, there's been a boom of just people named Jimmy.
At the time, there were so many. There was Pat Sajak tried to do a late night show, died. Oh my gosh, Arsenio Hall.
His was for a while.
His for a while because he appealed to a different movie type audience. But I'm talking about like in the 70s and 80s and that sort of thing. Even nobody. I mean, nobody could come. They'd put on an old rerun of a movie or something, or put a news show on because you couldn't touch him. And he did an hour and a half when he started, then an hour. But what I loved about him is his timing is impeccable. He was the quickest wit, one of the quickest wits I've ever seen. I mean, he was so fast.
Yeah.
And what I loved about him that they don't do anymore is the show was all about the guest. It wasn't about Johnny. The joke was on Johnny. The joke would always be on Johnny, not making fun of the guest, but he would listen, he would be attentive, and it was all about who was sitting in the chair. Unlike what you're doing, which is really, you couldn't care less about what I'm saying. No, I'm just kidding.
What do you see the late night conversations and these interviews going differently? It's not as much about the guest. In what way would you say it's not as much?
Yes, and I'll tell you what the difference was, in my opinion. When Jay Leno came in, it became about Jay Leno and not so much about the guest. In my opinion, because he had to one up the guest, and you don't want that. You want the guest to shine. And what I love about Johnny is that he was very self-effacing, not in real life, but in on the show. It was the butt of the joke was always on him, and that's what made him so great. And his quickness, and it's those days where you had to learn in the trenches, and you did the small clubs, and you kind of came up through the ranks and did all that. What's amazing is that he was as good as he was. He was always rather insecure because, he never got the recognition from his mother.
What was the story between them?
The story about that is, for example, I'll give you one story. His mother was frustrated. Sound familiar? A frustrated performer. She always thought she was the funny one, and he was very funny, and she just couldn't handle that. So, for example, I'll give you an example. When Johnny won the Entertainer of the Year award, and he called his mom the next day and said, "Mom, I won the Entertainer of the Year award," and she said on the phone, "Well, I guess they know what they're doing." Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard to hear.
Yeah. No, it's almost like he would be better off not having his mom be part of his life than to hear.
But there's that thing where he always would not have felt legitimized until he had her approval. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I could, if I have a whole lot of success and my parents don't approve it, I think I would risk that. Yeah, that'd be okay with me. I'll deal with it. Yeah. If some fortune,
I'll take the money.
Take the success.
If they like me or not. Fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't need kind words from them. They've given me enough. They helped get me here, so I appreciate that.
Well, that's true.
Or get me to wherever I'm going.
Anyway, so yeah, Johnny is still a huge influence. In fact, I get Sirius XM radio, and they are airing. They have a Johnny Carson channel right now for the month, and they're just playing old episodes, and it's like a time capsule. You hear the monologue from 1975, and it's all about Jimmy Carter, and
that's a lot of fun. Is it interviews as well? Or?
Oh yeah, it's literally the whole show.
Yeah. What about the commercials? The old commercials?
No, they cut out. They had Ed McMahon do it. Yes, they had Ed McMahon do yes, by Alpo. It's a really great dog food. That sort of thing.
Do you do impressions? Is that part of your?
I do a lot of impressions.
Yeah.
I do a good Johnny. He was.
I heard, yeah.
My main one is one of them is Johnny, but I do a lot of impressions. I'm working on a right now I'm working on a Johnny Carson one-man show.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what do you do with your person? Because you've never done stand-up comedy.
No,
or
I didn't.
Like
I attempted it for, like, I thought I might try it, and it's just because I know you know a lot of stand-up comics, and first of all, I love stand-up comedy, and
Me too.
Carson kind of got me hooked on it, but I love comics. I just, first of all, I admire them, and second of all, I'm amazed by them. I mean, I'm really into Sebastian Maniscalco right now, who is just so funny, and I love Gaffigan, and and Jerry's like, what is the deal with that? He's still really, really funny.
Yeah.
Seinfeld, but I did improv. I was in.
I could see that
the improv
You're
world.
You're a quick wit yourself.
Yeah.
I was going to comment.
Well, thank you. But I'll tell you, when I was on a show called Parks and Recreation.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, for in case you, what does it say there in the notes?
My
your notes.
phone,
There's like literally, there's nothing written on this piece of paper.
No,
This is
phones.
unbelievable. Oh, you kids with the phones.
Yeah, that's right.
No, so I did 4 seasons on Parks and Rec, and I do improv or some improv, and I would watch Amy Poehler and John Glazer and some of these other amazing actors and
Doing improv.
Well,
or
yes, because it was just. No, I'll just give you a little rundown of what it was like in Parks, and that we would do the scene as written, a good amount of times, because it was a multicam. I mean, it was like 2 cameras working, maybe sometimes 3. So, but it was that kind of, they were kind of hidden, and you didn't. Really,
yeah. They can't. The camera shouldn't.
Because it's
film each
like
other.
The Office, like the other thing, right? So we would do it as scripted for several takes, with getting coverage of everybody on the thing, and then they would loosen it up a little bit. We'll just loosen it up a little bit. Maybe we just kind of they would change the line here, change the line there, but with the same feel of the scene.
The actors are changing the lines.
The actors. I'm sorry. Yeah, just kind of like Amy would say, let's the directors would loosen it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Then we would loosen it up. We do a couple of takes of that. Then we'd loosen it up even more, and then the last take was what Amy would call a fun run.
Yeah,
which was completely improvised. It would just be like completely.
So say nothing that's in the script. Almost.
Correct, pretty much.
Yeah.
You'd have the premise of the scene,
sure,
but everything was, and that was like I was like, I thought I knew a couple of things about improv. I would watch these guys go and go, I'm just gonna sit back here and be quiet, because
were you ever in these scenes and you felt like you couldn't keep up or were unable to keep up?
Oh, all the time. I mean, I'd get 1 or 2 in, and the amazing thing about Amy Poehler is that she was very encouraging and supporting. Like, for example, I threw in a line once in a scene, and she thought it was hilarious, and she said, "That's really good." And she brought the writer on and said, "Can we get this in the thing?"
And then that night you told everyone you knew.
Of course.
This story.
Are you kidding me? Every time I did a bunch of episodes, and every time I go, oh my God, this is the best. I was improving with Amy Poehler.
Yeah. Isn't some way is that even better than money or recognition? It's just Amy Poehler just giving you that kind of compliment.
Yeah.
About your mind and
the money's good too.
performance.
But yes,
Yeah.
no, seriously, because I'm what they call a journeyman actor. So I usually play the guest star. I usually come into a well-oiled machine and just have to say my lines and hit my mark and do my thing, take home my paycheck and go home. But that show was like a family, like good family. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They all had my back. They were so incredibly supportive. And it all stemmed from Amy Poehler. But she really did set the tone for that show. And Nick Offerman, incredibly supportive. I mean, Chris Pratt, who's now like the biggest movie star in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were. It was like one of those things where you kind of go, "Oh my gosh, this is like lightning in a bottle. This is very special." And I wasn't one of the regular. I wasn't a series regular. I was a recurring guest star.
Yeah, you were in a bunch of episodes.
Oh yeah. But whenever they had me in, it was like boom, just picking up. And like we did. They did the Paley Fest did the 10-year anniversary this year of when they first started.
Sure.
And we did that and went to the party afterwards and everything. And everybody was incredibly kind, and everybody's was hugging, and it was great to see. It's they're all incredibly wonderful, and I keep in touch with a few of the cast members.
That's awesome.
It was special.
Why don't we go back and then you could tell me how you got into it, what led up to that? Because you're a journey, you're a journeyman. You say there's probably a journey itself leading up to that.
It's a huge journey, and for any actors, they know what I'm talking about, or people that are thinking about getting into it. It's tough.
Yeah,
you have a lot. Yeah, you have a lot of really great years, and you have a lot of really bad years. But so I graduate from college. I turned down the American Home Foods job, and I start my acting career by waiting tables and bartending
in Los Angeles,
in LA.
So you moved from somewhere?
I moved from Cal State Fullerton into Hollywood. I got a place in Hollywood, a little studio apartment, roach-ridden studio apartment, and started bartending and that sort of thing, and then started auditioning. And when I was I was the guy at Cal State Fullerton, and I got this great. I know how to act.
Yeah.
But they don't teach you how to get a job.
Yeah.
So I got out of college and didn't work for a year. Yeah. Nothing. Zero zip. And then I would send out, these are the days when you'd send out pictures and resumes and to casting people and all that sort of thing. And I got a job at what they used to call the Los Angeles, it's still called the Los Angeles Theater Center, but at the time, it's downtown Los Angeles. It's got 4 theaters in it. It was an equity house at that point. And I got a job and I auditioned for it. And the director said, David Schwartz, the director said, I'd like to have you do this. See if it's something you're interested in. The cast that we have so far is Tom Waits and Bill Pullman and Carol Kane and Bud Cort. And I was
this was for what was it again?
It was a play. It was a play called Demon Wine. I have the script right up there. And it was a play. And I was like, and I was non-union at this point, and and they were going to give me my points to get my union card and all that. And I was like, and he said, "Are you interested in this?" I was like, "Yeah,
I would think so. Yeah, of course."
So that was my first. That was my first real well, actually, that's not true. I had a couple of other paid gigs out of college, but that was the first one that kind of broke me into a new level.
Yeah, to work with all those people. Yeah. What was it like the first day you were on at the stage with them?
Rehearsing. It was incredibly intimidating. I was just I was a year out of college, and it's like, oh my. These are people that I, revere, that are incredible.
Yeah, I know.
And Pullman wasn't really known. Bill Pullman wasn't really known at that point. I mean, he'd done Spaceballs, but he wasn't really like, he hadn't done any of the big stuff at that point.
Sure.
And same with Philip Baker Hall, who was in the play. But I ended up doing 4 shows at that theater. I mean, they were very, very, very good to me there. And from that point, I got Terminator 2. I was very blessed that a casting director that was actually married to Mally Finn, who was married to one of my professors at Cal State Fullerton.
Who were you in Terminator 2?
I am not in Terminator 2 anymore.
you were cut?
I'm on the floor somewhere.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Okay. Well, your paycheck made it though.
I did. I got paid for it. But and then I kind of moved on from there. But a lot of years in the early days, it was a lot of small, 1-line roles, 2-line roles. And then you'd get, a few more lines, and you get this, and you get that, and then.
Where was your mind at this time? Like, were you happy with these 1 or 2? Were you disappointed? Were you realistic? Where were your kind of expectations?
Well, I was doing a lot of theater too, a lot of equity waiver theater. They used to call it equity waivers. I was 99 seat plan, but I was doing a lot of that. I was so passionate about it, Adam, that
you'll work. Just want
to work. And I did a lot of bad theater. I mean. Bad. I did a production of Hamlet. I played Guildenstern, and there was 21 people in the cast, and we'd usually play to maybe 3 or 4 people.
Is it almost like a lot of the theater jobs and the theater experiences? Is that almost like more long form stuff where you'll have a lot of lines, you'll have a lot of more creative exploration and freedom, whereas if you're just having these 1 or 2 TV lines or film roles, it's not as fulfilling, but they maybe pay you.
You just nailed it right on the head. That's what it is. I mean, theater is my first love, if you will. I mean, that's what I was trained in. That's what I love to do. You get immediate reaction from the audience.
Sure.
You rehearse it for 4 weeks. You hone it. You make it work, and then you get that immediate reaction. Whereas like I did Vice last year. The movie Vice about Dick Cheney, and I shot it. And then I waited over a year for it to come out. So, you have that. And TV's not quite as much as that. It comes out a little quicker. But
the immediate satisfaction of live performance.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work for not a lot of money. I mean, you get an equity job in LA, and it's, if you're lucky, it's $500-$600, or, most of them are like very small. Whereas in New York, you're getting, more money.
Sure.
But you do it for the love of it. You really do.
Right.
You do it for the love of it. I know a lot of actors that will like make a chunk of money doing TV commercials, whatever, and then treat themselves to do a play. But I won't lie to you, the money is really good in TV and commercials.
Yeah.
It really is. And film too.
Sure.
So I think at the end of the day, which is what I was taught in college, was you utilize every aspect of your talent. In other words, if it's a play, if it's a commercial, if it's television, if it's film, if it's voiceover, it's your bottom line at the end of the year. To be fulfilled creatively, first of all, and to make a living.
Yeah.
And I know some actors will say, "Oh, I don't do commercials," or "I don't want to do theater," or whatever. I'm like, you're cutting cutting yourself short, because
that's a good way to think about it. Like, you're filling these two
you're an
jars.
actor.
You got your creative and maybe what you're most passionate and what you consider maybe more artistic.
Yeah.
But you also have to pay the bills.
Well, you got to make money.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're why would you say I'm not going to do that? I'm like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to sit at home and make breakfast and watch. What else? What's precluding you from going out and auditioning for this?
There's plenty of movie stars, A-list movie stars, where you see like they were in a so-and-so commercial. They did a soap opera. They did
done it.
Whatever the case may be. Yeah.
I've done all this. I've done pretty much all the LA soaps.
Is that the next thing you got into after sort of doing?
Yeah, I did. I started getting into smaller parts, and then soap operas, and then I got a recurring on The Bold and the Beautiful.
Oh yeah, who did you play?
I played the bold one. I was certainly not the beautiful one.
No?
I played a lawyer, and the best thing you want to hear when you're in a soap opera and you're playing a lawyer is the casting person says, or the writers say, you're going to trial, which means you're going to be in for several episodes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So all of a sudden, a one and done turned into three months of work, which was great.
Did you ever maybe have any worries that like you would get like typecast or labeled as a soap opera actor and not be able to? Was that a real thing? It
is. But in those early days, you don't really worry about being typecast anything. You're just kind of like, I want to work.
Yeah.
And when you come out of school and you've been studying, you're like, well, I can play any role. And then you get into Hollywood and you kind of realize they do pigeonhole you.
Sure.
You're the dad. You're the lawyer, whatever.
Yeah.
Actually, the best thing that ever happened to me in my career, which was after I had the recurring on that, is I got into the dad look. Where I became like a dad.
But weren't you fairly young still at that point?
Late 30s.
Yeah.
And
I suppose, yeah.
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 And or mid to late 30s. And then I started getting dad roles. And that's when I got my first series, which was an NBC tween show called Darcy's Wild Life. It was kind of the show after Lizzie McGuire.
Yeah.
And that's when I really played my first series regular dad.
How did that compare to the working on the soap operas? Did you enjoy the working on the soap operas?
It's quick. It's turn and burn. It is like literally you're holding a script and they're saying, and we're rolling, and the script goes under your leg, and then you just kind of do your thing. It's fast. We're moving on. And then even if some people screw up lines, we're moving on.
Do they ever give any performance notes?
No. You get the lines right, you move on. And like I said,
that's hilarious.
I was not the beautiful one. I was the bold one. And these people are really good looking. And they'd be like, well, I'd be called at 6:30 in the morning and I'd shoot and then we're done at 3:30 and they're all through the gym and, they're going to do their thing and they're making personal. Don't get me wrong. The soaps were and still kind of are in a certain aspect huge.
Sure. Yeah. They're still on.
Yeah. And so, yes, I definitely did my share of those.
Yeah. But you enjoyed playing the dad more and
it was great.
Getting away from soap opera.
Well, it changed it literally changed my career. I mean, the dad stuff.
Yeah, that was a prominent role on that show.
Yeah, that one, and then I've played a lot of. I just a couple of years ago did Best Friends Whenever, and I was the dad on that on Disney Channel. And
I already asked you to be my dad earlier. No offense to my dad, but
I'm telling you, we have a spare room.
Yeah, you can have more than one dad. It's all right.
And give up your palatial compound that you have where I was at yesterday with the chef and the full bar.
That could be my weekend home. I got it all figured out, my friend.
You seem to. So anyway, yeah. So yes, I'm a journeyman actor, and that is what I do. I mean, I'm still. I'm auditioning tomorrow, and then that's kind of what you do, and a lot of them don't come through, and a lot of them do, and that's what it is. You go through peaks and valleys.
Were any of the jobs that you landed where you were almost like starstruck in the sense? Obviously, when you first got that play with all those prominent actors,
that was pretty amazing.
Did anything else compare to that or exceed it in terms of just like, holy shit, how did I end up here? This is amazing.
Yeah.
Is it the same feeling over again? Is it bigger? Is it smaller?
Yeah.
What are some of those most notable?
I'll give you a couple of notable ones. I was in college, and when you said choose a person that you influence you, there's a lot, obviously.
Sure.
I mean, Carson.
We've named a bunch of them.
I know. Yeah, another one was Peter O'Toole, who was an amazing British actor. He is my favorite actor of all time. Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah.
Beckett. All these great films. And I had heard that I was going to California, and they were shooting a movie that he was doing at UC Irvine, which was right down the street. And I had a friend who knew the person that was casting like extras and this sort of thing, and got me in to play an extra, like a small part in this thing. And I'm waiting there, and he came around the corner, and it was that.
And this is this.
Yeah,
Peter
O'Toole.
Yeah,
and he came around the corner. I'm dressed in the thing and all that, and I was playing one of his assistants, and he came around the corner. And I was like, "That is a movie star.
Yeah,
that man has an aura." And he was so kind to me, and I got to watch him do his vocal warm-ups and all this sort of thing. And just before, we were standing on the opposite side, like you and I are right now, on the side of the doorway. And he would go in and have a scene, and then I would come at the very end of the scene and drop some paper off.
Sure.
And he would stand over there, and just before he'd go on, he would go, and he'd give me a little wink, and then go in.
It's like magical.
It was unbelievable, and that was very special. There's another one that is on the incredibly memorable but terrifying aspect. Is I did an episode of The West Wing.
Yeah,
where I played an FBI spokesperson that was doing a press conference, and I had this long monologue to do, and I had to start walking from up on this hill. It was a hostage situation, and I have to walk down this entire hill and walk up to a microphone, just me, and give this monologue. And they had hired, there was like 3 helicopters, ambulances. I mean, it was a full-blown, there was probably 100 extras.
Wow.
People running around.
And this all centered around your specific actions.
Yeah. So police cars coming up, and all choreographed, police cars, ambulances, literally helicopters going overhead. And I'm walking down the hill, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, if I screw this up, everybody's got to go back to one. They've got to reposition the helicopter.
So it was meant to really get just do this in one take.
Well,
was that the?
Well, my brain went off and said, "Oh my God!" I mean, it was if I f this up, I'm going to put a lot of people out. And that I was like, I'm walking down this hill, and I am pouring with sweat.
Yeah,
and going, come on, man, come on. Boom. Got through it. I don't know how the hell. I still didn't even remember it to this day.
Yeah.
whatever. It came out, and then they were like, cut. Okay, we're moving on. And I got it in one.
What did it, when you hear that cut, we're moving on, what does that feel like?
I'm not kidding you. I literally don't, I was like, you know how the mind starts to play tricks because you're thinking about everybody else on set.
Yeah.
And if you screw this up, so that was pretty memorable.
Did you think that the other actors and the crew, did you think they knew that you were going through that kind of anxiety? Or
no, they just wanted to move on and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, no one's thinking too much. They're just thinking about
their own thing. They're thinking about themselves.
Right. Am I doing my job? Am I saying my
am
I standing in the right place? My little
demon comes up here and goes, you better not screw up.
Yeah, everyone on set is just focused on their own task, which is probably the right thing.
Well, that's, and everybody's, especially in show business, they're all looking out for themselves in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. But yeah.
Sure.
So that was good. But and then it slowly moved up from there. And then I got the kids show, the Darcy's Wildlife, and then that enabled me to get better auditions, which enabled me to get better roles. And it just kind of, you know what I mean? It kind of just moved up from there. And then I've had a lot of great ups and then a couple of years where it's just been like, oh my God, what am I,
has
2 or 3 jobs.
Has representation been helpful for you? Or have you landed a lot of your jobs?
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
once you get to a certain level, it's helpful.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been doing this I've been in this business for 25 years. So, most everybody in town, commercial wise, especially knows who I am and who I'm with and all that.
Sure.
I'm right or I'm wrong.
You're known.
Well,
enough.
Commercially especially because it's that's smaller. And
what kind of commercials have you done recently? I'm guessing you've done quite a few commercials. It sounds like.
I've done over 200. I've done a lot.
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot. I didn't have a number in my head, but that's a lot.
I've done
of
over 200 spots.
Is there a specific type of commercial or character that you seem to be playing? Dad/FBI agent.
I play a lot of FBI agents and
commercials. I guess
no, not in commercials. I played many dads in commercials, but I did have the thing that really kind of set it to another level. Is I had an amazing a little over 2 years where I was very blessed to get a Chevy campaign.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So they pay you in advance for a series of commercials.
No. It's paid. No, it's paid as you go.
Okay.
But what they did was, a few years ago, they decided that they wanted to have a Chevy campaign that was like The Office. So it was these 6 people that worked at a Chevy dealership. It's called Under the Blue Arch, and they worked at the Chevy dealership, and it was basically a 30-second sitcom.
Yeah,
and it was they were all directed by Randall Einhorn, whom I had met working on Parks and Rec, and he had directed tons of Parks and Rec, tons of The Office.
So they brought in a TV guy to do a commercial,
to direct all of them.
Yeah, wow,
and it was amazing. They would have the written stuff, and then they would say, we want one more. We got some time today. Can we maybe come up with a spot? And Randall would bring us into the thing and say, we got this idea to do this, this, and this, and we would improv the dialogue, and then he'd say, "Great, let's go shoot it." It was one of those rare. It was like Parks and Rec. It was one of those rare moments where it was creative. It was loving, it was supportive, and it was incredible, and it was very lucrative.
Yeah, that's amazing because I feel like with advertising, I would guess that so much of every word and everything that's on the screen and is so
precise.
Precise and scripted. So to allow them to do improv is quite novel, and especially even for that time, because I feel like now it's more about like branded content.
It is,
and things like that, where that would be more acceptable. But I'm guessing like that was sort of a newer.
Yeah, it's more. I think it's actually more encouraged now. Commercials use a lot of improv people because they want buttons and they want to kind of throw in a button at the end to get the laugh or whatever.
And it's probably more authentic, or it's another way to get to
because it comes from you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that seems to be more the norm now, is that they want a lot of improv people. ironically, we did all these commercials for Chevy where we played it was kind of a sitcom thing, and then when they ended that campaign, I think the next campaign was the "Not actors, these are real people," which is airing now. The whole Chevy thing where these are not actors, these are real people. I thought, what a complete reversal from what we had.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but they are actors.
Probably. Well, they are now. They got to. I'm sure they have to join the union. Yeah.
I always wonder that, like when they say we are not actors, because you can say we are not actors, and I think they can still use actors. I'm not sure all the rules.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how all that stuff works.
Yeah.
But yeah. But anyway, so that so again, day to day, year to year, it just kind of is the life of being a journeyman actor. But like we were talking about before, for a kid who was told you couldn't make a living at it, I've been very blessed.
That's great.
Blessed.
What would be the dream if you could have any role or any sort of success?
Well, my dream actually used to be to be a guest on the Johnny Carson show.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be on the Carson show. And then when Letterman came along, I was like, well, Johnny's not around anymore, so I'll maybe do the David Letterman show. And I never got to do that. But those are the things you think about in the early days. You're like, well, I'm going to do Carson. I'm going to become this huge star. And then you get into your career and you kind of go, you know what success is? Success is working.
Yeah.
Making a living at what you love to do.
Yeah. It's funny because just that and just so many other things in this conversation that we've had have been themes that have been recurring over and over again.
Really?
Like with other people I've spoke to for sure who share that perspective and seem happy as well.
What's interesting because I read something
to a degree.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. Well, listen, we could always be working more. We could always be
Of course, yeah.
But I was reading something a couple of weeks ago. I forget what it was. It was maybe in the LA Times. I forget what it was, but somebody said, you are probably living. I mean, this is a broad stroke, but
sure.
There's a chance that you are probably living the life that you had dreamt about when you were young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's directly something someone said about you specifically.
No,
or
it was a quote.
Yeah.
I forget who said it.
I don't know if that's true for everyone.
I don't think it is. But you know what? Not everything works for everyone. But it's funny because when I was growing up, be a falling star. Yeah. I mean, it's going to sound so Hallmark Channel right now.
Yeah.
But when I was growing up, I'd see a falling star. My parents would always say, make a wish. Oh, no, when I was growing up, that was a kid. But when I was probably, when I was starting to get into acting, and I would see that falling star, and the thing I would always wish for is to have a career as an actor, to be a working actor.
And how old were you when
I never wished to be on Carson. I never wished to be on Letterman. I never wished to be a humongous star. I always wished to be a working actor.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
When you were how old did you make this wish?
Probably when I first high school.
Okay,
when I first started getting into
that's pretty
yeah.
rational, reasonable kid.
Yeah. Now when I see him, I just kind of go, I want to live a long time.
Yeah, I want to
just let me live for a long time.
Not wake up with lower back pain.
Oh, well, that's a given.
Yeah. Cool.
You don't have to worry about that. You're a kid.
Yeah. Well, cool. I appreciate your time for sure. What are you working on these days? I know you mentioned the Carson one-man special, one-man show.
On the one-man show.
You're writing that right now?
Yes, I'm doing. I'm not a writer, so it's been painstaking, but doing the research has been really fun.
So you're really kind of in the.
It would be for stage. It would be a one-man show for stage.
When was it going to be on a stage?
I don't know. That's TBA.
It's going to be a minute.
Right now, I'm working on what I've been doing lately is, and I can't mention the name because I've signed the
you
stuff.
got it.
Yeah, but it's dubbing. A lot of doing voiceover work, dubbing foreign TV series and content into English for a particularly large streaming service.
Okay.
That's what we say.
That narrows.
There's a lot of them out there. I know
that narrows it down. I will say that for sure.
Again, right now, this is the amazing thing, Adam. I was found in my career that when one thing would slow down, like if I wasn't getting any TV work, theater would pick up. When I wasn't getting any theater work, TV would pick up. Or when I wasn't getting either of those, all of a sudden voiceover would kick in, or commercials would kick in.
It's got to be something beyond luck. It's got to be something you're doing, something that
I don't know.
Your universe. You just know so many people and have made so many connections over the years.
If I had the answers, I'd be living in your studio, your incredible mansion that you live in with the chef and the open bar.
The chef has his own
and the caviar, the caviar and lobster bar.
That's right. That's right.
But it's a long process. It is. But I'm happy. I'm really happy. Genuinely
that's great.
happy. Yeah.
I'm happy you're happy.
Yeah.
Well, where can people find you on social media? Are you on that? Can people follow you?
Of course, I'm on the Twitter and the Facebook and the Instagram. It's pretty much the Kevin Symons. So it'd be at the Kevin Symons and
Y SY.
Oh yes. KevinSymons. And you know what else I'm doing now is something called Cameo. Do you know about Cameo?
I don't believe I do.
Cameo is amazing. Cameo is a place where Parks and Recreation has a huge following, in case you didn't know, because Netflix has made it like the number 3 watch show.
Yeah.
So Councilman Dexhart, who I played, this kind of sleazy city councilman.
Yeah, I recall.
Yeah. The character was very popular, and the show is bigger than it's ever been, literally, even when it was on NBC. And so people will go to Cameo, and there's all these celebrities and sports figures and all that, and you can pay a certain amount of money and have them send a personal shout out, personal message, happy birthday, happy graduation, to a person of their choice. So
it's a service that will get a message to any celebrity? No.
You have celebrities. There's a whole list of celebrities.
Yeah.
I'm at the top of the list. I'm just kidding. And you can have that celebrity send, like if you wanted to send your brother a happy birthday from Councilman Dexhart, or
from a character,
from the actor who played the character.
Okay, yeah.
They're a huge Office fan. There's several members of the Office.
Via what method is this message? Is it like an email? Is it a letter? How does the?
No, it's a video message.
Oh, video. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's a video.
Wow.
It's an app called Cameo.
And you're paid for.
Yes.
I like that.
Go.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like you said, fucking utilize all outlets.
It literally is like it's. Yeah, I won't show you, but it's a new app. It's brand new. It's called Cameo, and it's growing like crazy. People are loving it because you can say, "Hey, Josh, your brother, Adam said that, you're really a big fan of parks and blah blah." Yeah. Then you can do a couple of the catch lines from the show and all that sort of thing. It's great.
So I guess the market kind of decides what each person's message costs, like
yes,
kind of thing.
Well, you kind of decide. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you start out low. I'm a bargain right now.
Sure,
a bargain.
Well, everyone should get in now because these messages,
get in
videos,
fast because you never know.
Yeah, no, that's
now. If I'd been on the Carson show, I'd be much higher.
And I'm guessing, if you want to just say "Happy Birthday, I'm The Rock," whatever, is different than The Rock, doing a whole scene or doing.
Well, it'd be The Rock doing the thing, and then it would cost you a lot of money. It just costs
more time is more money.
Yeah. But people are just loving it. They're blown away because it's a personal. Anyway, it's a new thing. I just started on that.
They publicly traded or what?
I don't know. Maybe time to get in right now, baby. Yeah.
Oh, maybe. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I know.
I was going to say I should write that down as a note, but I'm recording it right now.
Cameo. So you kind of have it here. Yeah. Oh no, you forgot. You forgot to push record, man. What are you doing?
Oh, right. I see. You're a funny guy. Cool. Man. Well, I appreciate your time again. Thank you so much for having me in your studio.
I'm so happy to do this.
Looking forward to seeing more for the Johnny Carson show, or not the Johnny Carson show, the
Johnny one man show
down the line, and more commercials and more theater and
yep, and
more dad work.
This was my very first podcast. So
really?
Thank you for being gentle. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad you thought I was. Cool. Well, let's talk soon, man.
I was a podcast youngin', and now I'm an experienced podcaster.
There you got it.
All right, thanks, man.
So there you have it, my conversation with Kevin Symons. I forgot to ask Kevin if during any of his time in Gary, Indiana, if he ever knew or met any of the Jackson 5. Was there any overlap there? Maybe he knew Janet Jackson? Seriously, I thank Kevin for his time and also his wife Darby for hosting me in their studio. Anyway, for everything about this show, of course, head to peoplewelovepodcast.com. And I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. Thanks as always. And let's talk soon. Peace.